Yes, come in.
Oh, Dad's making excuses now. Carpet on the floor. Oh, dead mine.
So, and that one used to run on 88 point something megahertz or 87.9, but it stopped working a few months ago, and I haven't chased it up. But I've had that
last year.
Yeah, that'd be right.
Yeah, we
Yeah,
had it on last year working.
I didn't know you'd seen it actually. Thought it was new.
Yeah.
This was formerly
This is
3CS. This is dated from about 1951. I like the Art Deco style of this. I think they wanted to keep it for their museum. I saw it. But in fact, I might even have two actually.
Okay, you can close it.
Where's the comment?
Thank you.
FM transmitter, a TV transmitter rendered down into a FM band 2 transmitter. It's a bit upside down at the moment, but that was the remains of 3MBS transmitter. I've got the remains of a AWA dummy load over there that got dropped by someone.
Be careful.
The lights are flickering and they say Don is switching his
Yeah.
Is your rectifier on the right?
Rectifier's there.
It's halfway up. Better already.
That's the RF drivers. Crystal oscillator, actually oscillator's there, but that was the original crystal oscillator. Low level driver, penultimate stage if you like, into the RF push pull.
That's the modulator, is it?
It's a modulator with negative feedback resistors up there. Then the RF, this is control there, thyrotrons there, and a voltage regulator. Crystal oscillator, 5763 buffer, RF penultimate, driver stage.
What are the lamps in the driver?
And neutralisation is this coil here. It picks off some capacitance out the back, comes through. This coil changes the phase and feeds it back anti-phase into the grid.
Yeah.
If I go,
Yes, alright.
the high tension in case. 6:15 in the morning. There's an LJ Kermond on duty. 6:30, engine started. 6:49, test from studio. 7 o'clock, transmission commenced. So every hour he's logged. I suppose it's a he. He's logged the thing, and then at 3 o'clock, another person's come on shift and done their log. Transmission ceased at 11 o'clock at night. Engine stopped at 8 minutes past 11. On air time 16 hours 20 minutes. Then Christmas Day, 10:15 start. Sleep in, joy. Engine started, and so it goes on, and they've finished at 23:38. Engine stopped. Love the writing that people had. So it was a different era then. Well, it looked like it was about 800 watts by the guessing from the power in. So 3HA back in 1943. You can see over here I've got 3XY transmitter schematic diagram, and a bit of that. That's a bit of that AWA that nearly didn't start. 787 watts of DC in.
You'd expect 70%, wouldn't you?
Yeah. Survey's out of control, and then all of a sudden something grabs and it goes bang, and tape gets torn apart. It's a terror. I'm not going to do anything with that at the moment. So that was
I've got one of those at home, Jack.
that's the back of it.
If we had someone with a truck, we could go a long way and bring the whole thing back.
I wouldn't bother.
Well,
The things have been out in the weather for years and years and
probably
years.
not worth it.
Show us your shack.
Sorry?
Show us your shack.
That's my shack.
That's
Happened to find an engineer who was working in the STC factory, and I was telling him how I've got the 5KA transmitter, and he said, "Oh, that's modified down to 2.5 kilowatts." And I said to him, "How did you know that?" He said, "Oh, I was working on the test bay that day." When I rang him up about a year and a half ago, and he said in a shaky voice, he said, "Whitlam destroyed the broadcast electronics industry in this country." He said it was combined with reducing tariffs at the same time as allowing rapid increases in wages. The two things combined made it unviable to produce electronic goods in Australia. This one, the signal starts off in the exciter here. It's a solid state exciter, crystal oscillator as you can see, and the modulation inductor and the modulation transformer there. So I thought there was a paper label. Perhaps There's a paper label.
In the middle behind the
Yeah,
insulators,
just
isn't it?
behind the white insulator.
Oh, okay. This is a paper label from 1974 saying for 5 kilowatt operation link L14 to 4, and please remove, PS, remove bridge from L14-4 to L14-2. So that's to convert it, one of the steps to convert it back to 5 kilowatts. Rectifiers, overload relays, whatever. And then from there, come to the RF driver, which is these 4-125, and from there it goes to the RF modulated amplifier here. You can see that all the valves I managed to get hold of are they're broadcast cast off, so you sort of have to mix and match to find some that sort of half work. But I remember into the modulator valves, the filter conductor down there. I was trying to figure out where distortion is coming from on the thing. Now, this part here, the bellows that goes from the blower up to into the transmitter proper. So that's the 5 kilowatt STC. Its big brother down here, I've got a bit of a tripping hazard here. Some rollers, I still haven't worked out where to put it. This is a 10 kilowatt one. It's supposed to have a bigger blower, but I noticed the motor's actually been downgraded. And apparently the one that was 3AW was sold overseas some years or decades ago, I'm told. This one subsequently became 3EE on 693, so it was converted to 693 from 1420, and then from 3EE, no, it became Magic 693, and then it became 3AW. So it's been all of those stations at some stage in its past, and it was probably retired a few years ago. And a man from Little River collected it. Nothing, but it had a separate power supply. This was a power supply down here. It's just got a huge transformer in it. So you can take got more tape recorders, more Australian-made stuff. The aim in my collection is to have Australian-made stuff. And the phasing is very critical. And these transmitters are notable because, and John, I'm sure John would say, this particular sort of transmitter is hated by more broadcast technicians than any other transmitter ever made. So these are very, very unpopular. Their proper name is Ampliphase, but everyone, what do they call them, John, in the broadcast industry?
I'm just trying to remember.
Amplifizz.
Yes, I looked them up. Originally they were invented in France in the
That's right.
1930s.
1930s, you're spot
And they
on.
were called outphasing, and then RCA coined the term ampliphase.
The transformer has been made in Australia. It's made by Delta Transformers in Sydney, and the two big filament bit messy there. I thought I had to clean them that. They draw 1,008 watts of nominal filament current each. It's essentially a switch mode power supply. The modulator is switched at 70 kilohertz, and it's pulse width modulated, and it's just a switch mode power supply. And that runs a modulated amplifier, which is a triode. It should be humming now. It's humming.
Know the words.
Who'd like to press the on? Now it's going to make a noise. The on switch, the filament on.
That one?
Yeah.
Ah, now we get somewhere. Now I feel power, feel the power.
There's little covers on the top. The audio processor has got the power on down here. It's got a limiter with 1, 2 or 3 dB of clipping on it. The meters in there are floating at about 7,000 volts, I think. We've just got filament voltage. We've got 80% volts, and I'll wind the variac up. So that's this one was, what was it? It was 5 kA. So this one replaced that one. We've run at 2.5 kilowatts. This was 5 kA. Then it became SEN, the sports network in Adelaide. And then it became Cruise 1323, and it was retired, I think, about September last year, I think. Okay.
So I had to get the rest of the bits to put it together eventually when I saw a few of the other problems that are happening at the moment.
Look, it'll be around the legal limit.
Legal schmeagle.
It's hard to tell, but I can see the meters wobbling around there. It's not going to work. You can look on the internet and find pictures of the BBC studios with these being used by the BBC, made in Australia. Yaesu VHF set and some.
A few years ago, when 3UZ broadcast transmitter site was being demolished, some friends of mine complained that an Australian-made broadcast transmitter was still in there when the building was flattened. They all said, somebody should have done something. I made a few inquiries, and so often I was told, oh, you should have been here 3 months ago. We took a load of that stuff to the rubbish tip or the metal recyclers. Nobody seemed to want it. Soon there will be nothing left to remind us of what Australia could make once. Well, who is the somebody that's going to do something? The somebody is the people that care. So, as a result, I decided that I would do something because I cared. So I started my collection of Australian-made broadcast equipment.